Diane Rose. Here. Derek Bartlett.
Here.
Joe Bringsmoney. Bob Walters. Ronald Russo.
Here.
Kathy Thompson.
Here.
Dean Dupree.
Under a little bit.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for showing up this morning. Good to see everyone. Look forward to finishing up our council session this morning, or today anyway. We'll ask Mr. Thompson for morning prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Morning, everybody. Chairman, we're thankful for this beautiful day that's upon us. Ask that you look down on us and guide us as we come together, do business on behalf of the tribe. Ask that you bless our chairman, his staff, and his family. Madam Secretary, her family, and her staff. Mr. Treasurer, happy birthday. Bless him on a special day, his staff and his family. Each and every one of my colleagues and their families. Ask that you bless all our tribal workforce. So thankful for all the hard work that they do. We say a special blessing for our elderly. So thankful for their wisdom that they showed us. Ask that you bless those that are in hospitals and nursing homes, guide them through their time of healing. Ask that you bless those members that are addicted to drugs and alcohol. Ask that you guide them, find them, show them there's a better path. Bless our children in our schools. Help them, guide them, show them education's the way to be a good person. Ask that you bless those that have recently lost loved ones. Wrap your arms around their families in time of grieving. Just bless everyone in the whole world. Sure, there's a difficult time for everyone in the world. Ask that you bless everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson, for the prayer. Appreciate that. Council, we'll give the floor to the tribal census and their report. The two young ladies are here. Okay, we'll hear from the tribal census at this time. Go ahead.
Good morning, executives. Good morning, council. I hope you guys have the report that I passed out, I think last week. It's got a bunch of numbers and stuff that I'd like to go over today. To go over just the memorandum that I attached to the report. It's in regards to the census information, the current census breakdown, and the GPS units. Under census information, the information that we have gathered to date, a lot of it we had to complete by other means, and by that we had to use like the enrollment office. the form didn't ask, the form asked for questions of the head of the household, their birthday, their enrollment, but it didn't ask for like anyone over the age of 18, anyone under the age of 18. So because we didn't have that information, we had to go back into the census, and we confirmed over 3,000 that were either enrolled or not enrolled, and we've got correct spelling on names and birth dates. There's still about 1,000 that we have yet to get confirmed whether they're enrolled or not, and their birth dates and the name spelling. But again, that was just because the back of the form didn't ask for that type of information. Once we've completed the census, all the applications that we have collected to date, they will all be boxed and put into the, will be in the tribal secretary's office, and that's just to ensure confidentiality and accuracy for the final report. But all those will be in Madam Secretary's office. Going into the current census countdown, the count breakdown, the statistical report is attached. To date, right now we have 1,177 residents that we know are not enrolled. We know that number's a lot higher, but there are some households that have not completed the census that are non-members. That is something that we kind of want to go back to see if they'd be interested in filling it out, just so we have those statistics on our final report. There are currently 17 federally recognized sister tribes that we have with members living on our reservation, and the number for those tribes are also attached to this report. With the recent election, we had to go back and look at some of our numbers and the people that have filled out the census report for one district and they voted in another district. I guess you can say the nomads, I guess if we want to call them, that just don't have a home. So with that in mind, they've gone from a relative's home to a relative's home or friend's home. So there's a lot of, the numbers have fluctuated continuously throughout the months as we go through the data and then go through the most recent election and everything. So it's a continuous work on getting that data sorted, but it gets done and then something else happens where we have to go back and recheck. We currently have 8 GPS units for the tribal census project, and those right now are inactive. We have to get service for them set up, and there is a software that needs to be installed on each of these units if we're going to use all of them or if we're going to use one or two. The software is available through, I didn't write down the company, but that software will allow us to go down to each house and GPS where all the houses are on the reservation. So once we get those units up and running, we'll be able to put those out into the field to start mapping out where exactly all the houses are on the reservation. And I'm almost done.
It's okay. How many units?
There's 8.
Okay,
So as soon as those are up and ready to go out into the field, it's just a matter of mapping out. It'll even be able to map out where there's lots that might have all the hookups for a home. So that will also be included in on the GPS information and in the final report. Going into the statistical report, just for the record, I'm going to go over the district communities. In District 1, we have Bear Creek, Dew Creek, Greengrass, Iron Lining, Isabel, Thunder Butte. District 2, we have Lantry and Red Scapple. District 3, we have Bridger, Cherry Creek, Taquini. District 4, we have Timberlake and West Eagle Butte. District 5, we have East Eagle Butte. District 6, we have Agency, Swiftford, Blackfoot, LaPlante, Promise, Ridgeview, and Whitehorse. If you go into, I think it's the third page in from the statistical report, you'll notice that on District 1, for example, we'll go District 3, for example. It has Bridger, Cherry Creek, Eagle Butte, Lantry, and Taquini listed. And the reason for that is the people that filled out the census report, they identified closer to that community, but they were within the boundary of the District 3. So it's just listed that way because they got their mail going there, or they listed their community as that, when normally I would classify that as a surrounding area for the district or a community, but because it put them closer to like Eagle Butte or Bridger or anything like that, that's what we had listed it as. So I don't know if down the road you guys want to look at maybe putting that in as a community for like District 3, Bridger is listed we don't have it listed on our maps or anything as an actual community, or not that I, oh no, District 3, sorry, I had that wrong. But going back to the first page, under District 1, so far resident-wise, there are 890 residents within District 1. Of that, there are 444 legal voters. There are 234 youth under the age of 17 and younger. We have 13 that were waiting for the date of birth because that wasn't given on their census report. There were 2 that had refused or we had no contact with them. And then there are 197. District 2, there are 328 residents. And of that, there are 177 voters. There are 97 youth under the age of 17. The date of birth unknown is for 3. None have refused or no contact, and there are 51 non-members currently living in that district. District 3, there are 1,171 residents. Of that, there are 566 legal voters, 324 youth, 6 where the date of birth is unknown, 2 where there were refused or no contact, and 273 where there's non-members that have filled out the census form. For District 4, there's 1,442 residents. Of that, there are 801 legal voters, 366 youth, 14 with the unknown date of birth. The refused or no contact, there are 4. And of the non-members, there are 257. District 5, there are 1,337 residents. Of that, there are 751 voters, 299 youth, 16 where the date of birth is unknown. The refused or no contact is 2, and there are 269 non-members that filled out the census form. District 6, there are 757 residents. Of that, 412 are legal voters, 206 are youth. Date of birth unknown is 8. The refused or no contact is 1, and the non-members is 130. So total, we have done 5,925 census intakes on people that reside on the reservation. Now this number is not final. There's still big areas that the census taker, Edna Thompson, will explain to you about, that there are chunks of areas like the IHS housing area that have yet to be complete. So these numbers are gonna change because there's still, I wanna say at least 500-600 people that we have yet to account for, that we know are residing on the reservation, but we wanna confirm where exactly they're living. Off to the right side of the statistical report, there's voters by age group. Of the voters that we have, there are 3,151 legal voters as of right now that this tribal census has accounted for. Do you want me to go over the age groups and put them on record, or? Okay. We have 4 elders in their 90s that are legal voters. We have elders that, we have 69 elders in their 80s. We have 220 elders in their 70s. And we have 429 elders in their 60s that are legal voters on the reservation. Other legal voters, we have 468 that are in their 50s. We have 530 that are in their 40s, 648 that are in their 30s, 630 that are in their 20s, and we have 171 new voters that are 18 and 19 years of age. If you look right below that, our current council representation for districts is at 15, and the ideal representation is actually should be 17. Our districts are currently underrepresented, so that's something that will be included in this in the final report to explain how, that justification for why it should be 17 instead of 15. Are there any questions on that? Yes, it's all included in your in the report that I gave. Oh, not the justification or the explanation for that. That's just for. Yep, and everything else you have. The next page is just breaking down the age groups by districts, how many elders we have in each community and voters and such. And then the page after that is just a breakdown by communities of how many residents we have in each community. The final page is what we have for non-member residents. The list is our sister tribes that we have, where we have their members residing on our reservation. And it's a full list of the people that, what reservation that they actually come from, or what sister tribe that they reside or originate from, so. The last page? Okay. For the sister tribes that we have currently residing on our reservation, we have 2 from Apache, we have 1 from Crow Creek Sioux tribe, we have 1 from Cherokee Nation, 1 from Cheyenne and Arapaho tribe, 1 from Chippewa Cree, 1 from Choctaw Nation, 3 from Lower Brule Sioux tribe, 1 from Northern Cheyenne, 7 from Navajo Nation, 14 from Oglala Sioux tribe, 1, I don't want to butcher that name, Missouri tribe, 15 from Rosebud Sioux tribe, 31 from Standing Rock Sioux tribe, 2 from 3 affiliated tribe, 1 from Turtle Mountain Band, 1 from Yankton Sioux tribe, and 5 from Rosebud Sioux tribe. And that last number is verification is pending. There's 1,091. That's just confirming with our enrollment to see if they are currently enrolled with our reservation or not.
You have two categories for those, but are those added together, like maybe 20?
Oh, yeah. Some of them have put Rosebud. Is that Lower Brule and Rosebud you're talking about? Or what are you talking about?
It says Rosebud.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Those are combined. Sorry. So 20 from Rosebud total. Thank you for catching that.
Nobody from Crow.
Be careful if there is one, they're coming for you. Yeah. And that's what I have for my report. If there's any questions. The total? We have done 5,925 residents on the reservation. Total. That's just people on the reservation. That's a combination of members and non-members.
You have that breakdown for every age group too.
Yes.
So I was total of all 60 on nothing.
60 on up, we're looking at a little over 700. Yeah, about 702.
Yeah, we had 800, I think, at one time.
Mr. Rose?
There might be more because again, the census isn't complete. There's a lot of areas in the Eagle Butte and surrounding areas around here that we have not yet completed. So that number will probably go up. And again, there's still over 1,000 that we haven't confirmed. So once we get their birth dates and are able to complete that part of our spreadsheets, we'll be able to know what age group everyone's gonna be falling into. So again, that's gonna go up.
Yeah, I usually don't do those surveys, but your mom come over and strong one.
Hey, if it helps our tribe as a whole, why not?
Mr. Rose, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Raven, to my knowledge, you guys have been out of work on the census project for a while now?
Probably about 6 weeks now.
And-
That's me. Edna's been maybe about 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay, and is it the lack of funding for the project? Is
Yes.
that- So, as a body here, what can we do to help you get back to work?
The biggest part that I want, and I know Madam Treasurer or Secretary has been working on that
Yeah.
for funding, and she's going to be going to the budget, but it's just funding. That's all we really need is just funding.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, Council, just catch up on the, ended last year. I submitted the request for, I think it's our P4 pay period, and then that ran out, so I submitted another one, got approved, and then that's what they finished up on. But, as Ms. Thompson said, they're still working to finalize everything. So I did submit another budget to the end of the fiscal year, but if they get done sooner, then, you wouldn't need that funding, but I did submit it to Mr. Treasurer and to Ms. Haskell for the budget committee. Cause I turned it in, I think it was a day or a couple days after the budget meeting we was held, so, to follow the process, you would have to wait till, budget committee meeting meets in February, and then those minutes will go to March. So, yeah, it's submitted.
Okay. Thank you, that's all.
Ms. Haskell?
Our meeting is scheduled for next Wednesday, that was a mistake yesterday. I thought it was scheduled for yesterday, it's after scheduled for now. We're still on track with that.
Mr. Russo?
Good morning, thank you for coming, and appreciate all your hard work. I wish we would've did this better, Chairman LeBeau. We dispersed, per capita payment, or whatever we called it. We dispersed it. We could've got all this data, every single bit of it. It would've been one question, because they would've filled it out to get their check. And, there was some council reps that didn't think that we had to put any personal information on these applications, and I guess one question I have is you know, what's the difference between our tribal census and the U.S. census that got completed a couple years ago? I'd like to know, because we need to redistrict. You know, we can't just keep delaying. Like some of us want to delay the tribal census so they can delay the redistricting, because redistricting, that changes the whole composition of the tribal council. And whether it's good or bad, I don't know if that's up for us to decide, because people have the right to run for office. And I sit on the election committee last term and our last year, and that election committee chooses who gets to run anyway. They take it upon themselves to, you know, pick and choose who's qualified, you know, outside the scope of the tribal constitution and the ordinance. So I'm really upset that, you know, we can't do a better job, you know, with the redistricting and the census process. We need to do a better job with our tools that we have available, like the application for the checks. Everyone had to fill one out to get a check. They could easily put their address on there, and maybe then they could use that to spot check it. They could have had a stack of applications and just went to verify if they lived at the address or not for their census or something. But I just, you know, we're going on, you know, funding's an issue, but we talked about this last time, and we approved more funding, and now they need more funding, and we're looking at, you know, in the middle of, we got an election coming up, we're looking at the middle of July before the census is even to the next step. So I look forward to the census being completed, but I also understand, and I hope my colleagues feel the same way, that we need to get this redistricting going so we can make sure that we have equal representation in our districts. Thank you, Chairman.
Madam Secretary?
In response to, Council Representative Russo, the tribal census, and you guys approved the MOA with ARPA. So they do use information on it. I think there's, some information that's not on the application that they shouldn't use, so that's what they have to get that information we're on, try to get. And so, you know, these two, work the whole reservation. You know, Edna started out the only one. We advertised for 28 census takers, 28. We have 3 applicants. COVID hit, 2 backed out. So, you know, Edna has to do the whole reservation. And so it is time consuming. It is hard work. She got bit by a dog. So yeah, this is our first time in history doing a tribal census for this tribe. And we're learning. Next time, you know what to do. Next time, you know what to expect. So yes, they do get the information from ARPA already, and they use that information. Thank you.
If I can further elaborate a little bit more to Mr. Russo's comments. So a lot of the information on the ARPA application, it wasn't stuff that was suitable for us to use as data for a census. And the difference between the U.S. Census and the tribal census, the U.S. Census took everybody that has Native American and plopped them into our population. So we're separating out between how many reservations we have residing on our reservation and how many of our own members reside here on the reservation. So that's a big difference on it, between US Census and our tribal census. And we could have used ARPA. If the application had been, if there were 3 or 4 more questions that had been asked on the ARPA application, absolutely, that would have worked perfect for our tribal census. Another big difference is we're actually out going door to door, so people aren't just bringing their application in and just dropping them off in a box. Edna has gone out and interacted with our people, so she knows like where people are specifically and how many people actually have the children with them was a big issue, because we noticed with ARPA, there were people claiming children that didn't have the children. And then an ARPA application would come in where somebody else was claiming the children. Well, we were able to differentiate on who actually had the children because they filled out these census forms. And if there was any type of, any application contradicted the other when it came to children, all she would do is call both parties and ask, do you have the children or do they have the children? We want to make sure we have this right so our children in the districts are all accounted for. That was our biggest thing, is our children can't speak for themselves on these applications, so we want to make sure that they're not missed out on either. So the difference was just making sure we're more accurate than the US Census and the ARPA application process. And of course, the next census that needs to be done, if you guys want to do it in 5 years, 10 years, with the final report, it's going to give recommendations and solutions on how to make this a shorter process, so we don't, well, hopefully there won't be a pandemic either, but how we can shorten that so it can be done in 3 or 4 months. You can invest the manpower into this project, because it's possible, but with this being our first time, this is where we're learning as we go. So there will be in the report to explain what to do better in the next census that the tribe will do.
Any other comments?
And then the census taker.
Put that part on the dog, the quiet one, the one that bites you.
Cattle prod.
It's only $15. She signed it, went to civil court, and it's like a $15 fine on the owner, but they gotta make sure they have that tag, license. If they're not, then I think they take her down, send her head to that lab down in Sioux Falls, called Rat Beer, and see if they have babies.
Mr. Russo?
Thank you, Chairman. So thank you. That's we are learning. And so for now on, we should have, if we do another disbursement, we should have those questions that you need on there for forever. I was even thinking, like, for our off-reservation members, if we knew their income, I don't want to see their tax return, but have them check the circle. Are they 0 to 100,000, they 100,000 to 200,000? So we know as council reps, how many members do we have out there? Do we have a bunch of doctors out there that are, we should be sending donation requests to? Or do we have a whole bunch of homeless people out there that we need to be sending assistance to? Because that could impact our tribe. We might have some philanthropists out there that are millionaires that want to give back to our tribe, but maybe we never asked them, and maybe they just need to be asked. That's just a possibility. But those questions that, that really use these opportunities, because everyone wanted a check that wanted it. And they would have put, yeah, we fought, the council fought, didn't want that one part on there about income. But, now we didn't put it on there, now we don't know. Versus knowing. And the same with all these other census questions. We could have answered them all. And that data would have been just great for our tribe. And whether or not it was completely accurate, we could have used it. Maybe we found out everyone's homeless, and now we got data to prove that. So when we go out to the United States government and advocate for our people, we have more knowledge on what we need to advocate for, and we get that through the data compiling and stuff. So I appreciate the hard work, but I'd like Chairman LeBeau, do we need a motion so in the future disbursements we can make sure that we aim to compile that data that's necessary? Chairman?
If I may make a quick comment on that. That's a really good idea. If you would take the application, between the census, the ARPA, and even the Salazar. And if you look at the data we got from the census, you'll be able to create a form where you can get all that information from, because there's only a little bit of difference between all these applications. They're pretty similar, just one or two, maybe even 3 or 4 questions that separate all 3 of them. So that would be possible if you take all these applications, sit down and look at them and compare them, and then look at the statistics you get from the census project. Then you'll be able to create an application that will nail all 3 aspects. So it can be possible, but yes, I would look at all 3 application processes that you took for those 2 disbursements and the tribal census, and the statistics and what answers you want out of these applications, and you can create that application.
Chairman, can I make that motion?
Good.
Make a motion that we, when you do cash disbursements, that we use those disbursements to compile data to help with our travel census. That's my motion. Travel censuses.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Russo, second by Ms. Haskell. Questions or comments? Madam Secretary?
Frank Sidowitz,
Uh-huh.
Kenneth Junior, absent Tom Kessler,
Yes.
Henry Dupree,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell,
Yes.
Chad Rose,
Yes.
Derek Bartlett,
Yes.
Bill Brinkley, Bob Walters, Ronald Woodstock,
Yes.
Kelsey Plum.
Yes.
Chairman, I had a question, was Edna?
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent, motion carries. How about let her talk and then we can ask follow up. Good.
Thank you. Good morning, Tribal Council.
Morning.
There's a difference between the tribal census and the US Census. The US Census is a law. You have to do that, but the tribal isn't. And I'm gonna make this report and let you know what it's like house to house, because this is a really hard job. There's nothing easy about this job. And I got my report that was sent out to all of you, but I was hired by the tribal every Those are the homes that I have to try to get to, or get phone numbers. That was the problem, nobody has phones anymore, it's all cell phones, and it's hard to get anybody on the phone. Whitehurst and Blackfoot, they're almost complete. And basically, I think we're almost done. She gave her report at 5,000, but we're almost close to 7,000. That has to be inputted into the computer yet. And then we still have 1,000 more that has to be verify their birth dates, or if they're members, if they're enrolled. And like she said, the form, if it had enrollment for everybody on that form that got put on that form, we wouldn't have to use enrollment, because that was the biggest problem, is to find out who was enrolled and who isn't. Other than that, this job was really, really hard. I have a question on Timberlake, where I was told Highway 20 runs through Timberlake. The south side is Cheyenne River, the north side is Standing Rock. And a lot of our tribal members live on the north side. And I was told the north side was allowed to vote in Cheyenne River, even though they live in Standing Rock. Then it got changed by tribal council 1 year, so they couldn't vote. And this year I think they can vote. So do I still go into Standing Rock to get these people from Cheyenne River that live 1 or 2 miles north of the Highway 20? I haven't done that yet, but.
Thank you, Edna. The line is north of Timberlake. Remember how the highway makes a curve around the lakes and then the other curve? The line's right on that north curve. So in your Trail City area, I believe the reservation line's about 100 yards on the south side of the highway. But for Timberlake, you go north of those lakes, and there's a few residents up in there that are still on Cheyenne River in District 4.
Okay, where that Bollinger Garage is, after you come off the last curve going towards Mulbridge, there's a road that runs north.
No, that's up in Standing Rock.
Yeah, see, we have tribal members that live up in that area. And then in Trail City, I think there's only 2 tribal members that live in Trail City.
And that should be in Standing Rock in Trail City, I believe. And
They come to the tribe to get benefits, you know, they got their.
They're right on the line there.
I don't know where it is, but then I did get 2 people from Trail City.
I guess if there was questions, we'd probably have to have maybe the BIA go up and mark the boundary if we really had to.
Did you send Marty up there?
I know north of Timberlake, there's 3 or 4 right north of there still in Cheyenne River. South of Main Street.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea, you guys, because, we ran into this in District 4 with people who have, claim they're in District 4, but live in Carson County, and have always voted in, District 4. But if they use their physical address, it says Carson County, but, you know, I mean, maybe we should look into getting that done, by the DA, to give us, because it's the board, you know, it's the same thing that they're doing with the voters, they come to vote, and then they say they don't live on Cheyenne River, and they're in that little north of Timberlake, on, off the res, gray area, so the thing is, but yeah, that is a problem we have with District 4.
Yeah, I haven't done that area because I'm not sure if I should or not. Because they said that's off the reservation, I don't know.
Chairman, hang on, Mr. Rose and then Mr. Russo.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll make one more quick comment. In my years of firefighting, we used an app called Avenza Maps, and it's a georeference PDF map, and we've done it with range units, so we knew if we're on tribal land and where the fires were, but I believe we could ask the BIA GIS specialist to make a map of the districts, and then like the census takers or the election committee could use that app, and we'll be able to see right where you're at, whether you're in Dewey County or Corson, right in there, and then you'll see which districts you're in. Just for the future, I believe there's resources available to help with these questions. Thank you.
Mr. Russo?
Chairman, this discussion needs to stop. We have to follow the Constitution. So boundaries are boundaries. We just disqualified a District 2 council rep that was a district rep for I don't know how long. And then he got elected and all of a sudden he wasn't a resident. And we brought this big detailed map out. So find out where the line's at, and that's it. There's no grace. So if they live on Standing Rock, off our reservation, they're not eligible to vote because they're not residents. If you guys want to change the boundaries, I'll support a secretary election. We actually sent a motion to do that, to change our Article 1 of our tribal constitution to include all of the 1868 treaty lands. So our reservation is no longer this little square that they got us Dewey and Zebot counties. It's the whole 1868 treaty. Yeah, 1868 treaty territory. I would like to, are we gonna continue to push that? Because if we push that, then we can start talking, you know, expanding and all that stuff. But I don't know if anyone's got that much fight in them. I know I do. Chairman, well, is that something we're gonna discuss? Is going back to that tribal council action where we change our Article 1 to the 1868 treaty lands for our reservation boundaries?
Sure.
Do it.
Ms.
Do
Thompson?
it.
Yes, just to reference back to what Thad was saying, again, we do still have to do some GPSing. So when it comes down to that, we'll be able to tell who's on the reservation, because we do have to go like mark house to house to house. Like Kelsey said, we do need to know where we're gonna be crossing the boundary between Shining River and Standing Rock. That's the only thing that we're really gonna need clarification on, so we're not mapping a house from Standing Rock on Shining River. We don't wanna have that confusion between our reservations, our boundaries. So when the GPS is done, you'll be able to see where all the houses are. Once we get the units up and working, that will tell where the houses sit specifically. So we'll know if they're within voting district 4 or whatnot, because then your map will be complete. You'll be able to see the full map of where the houses are all at.
You have that. I
Ms.
got it.
Feather?
Maybe to add to that, we have to remember, with the redistricting, we already have our map set. Those are the ones we use for elections. Those are the maps we're gonna use to GPS all the residents onto that map, so you guys will know, and you guys will see those maps too. So we can't create different maps and then use this data into that. We have to stick with that redistricting map that we use for elections.
Okay, and in my next,
I got Mr. Newitz.
oh, I'm sorry.
You was mentioning about the ones that come, move around. Maybe green grass, they come up here, stay up here, and then go back. That comes up with the election board on that. I don't know, there's some coming back from, coming home. So 90 days for a resident. So, 30 days, whichever district, if they're in 6 and they come to 1, 30 days, then they can vote in District 1, that's how it reads. And then 1 year to be a candidate. Showing stipulation, but what I want to hear is a report from Oslo County. And then those numbers are sent to those numbers will fluctuate, and then there's some that don't want to do it at all. But it's pretty good that the next thing is to get into registration with the bands, and then find out who's all, like T-Kettles, Unicosia, Tazapcho, Siasapa, Oglagala, Sichongu, and then the Hunkapati. He's starting to find out at these meetings, they had a spiritual book they wanted. The chairman was talking, but then our young chairman went up there. I was videotaping it. And she gave the best, he gave a Shuta speech, pretty good. He didn't put that on the radio. But this medicine bonds would come up in the 1851. They got that information out of that Dr. Robertson. So there's two issues here. One that from the summit to the east bank and everything involved in that. And then this year 1889 Act, from the 1887 and 89 Act, when I first got on council, who was Joe? He was questioning the council. How come you guys don't go up there and build a city, build a town? That's the thing I heard when I got on council. We have that culture, Chantela, Chakachana. Now he, and make those decisions like that. Now Kolyaya became a Lila Okachni up to Hitch and a Woglak up to Hitch. It's just a dear woman there. I could the Woglak. Chazeki said, but he went just serious, you know. To speak too much English. Speak Lakota, you know, you can't stress that. I'm glad he did. You know. I thought he was getting after me, but you know, he's serious. You know, he seen me talking too much English. So now I can't. The Wuchek came gaga, Wushna came gaga, Nikaga, Ambretia, Luangochi, Vichana Grabna, okay, Ayushna, Etisema Brake, Ichamo. Hela Kota, Hecha. And I was involved with that in this registration to the bands. And we got the Tito on here. You know, those guys are here too. So we gotta have that census done, Chairman. Into those files. And we got the registry. It's only one page. Take your print. You read it, and then it's in your Lakota Chazer or your Christian, what band you're from, what fire, and you sign it. It's just the old kind of, you have talk up there. There's King Man, those guys like that, they established these things. Just like my dad is saying that, you know, like last of his time. You know, like I said, masters, geniuses, and Wakan, Vichachana, it's just a Lakota, it's just a song in there, Tokiski. The Yektis of Sino, they're doing Gaga. Only Hoyaku. Shiaku. We understand that. It's really a deep. I'm learning that from these meetings with the old guys, older than me. Lakota woke up and did and they speak English too. But that's what Lakota is all about. We got a big claim up here. We took that. We seen this. They call it Border Butte. There's a man up there. Steve took a picture of him. He looked like that crazy horse. That one that Mount Rushmore. Took a picture of it, and it's pointed right at the summit of the Bighorn. Snowcap. Chile. You know, that's kind of like a burial ground too. They're trying to dig uranium out. I think, Chairman, is there funding here on, Madam Secretary? How's the funding?
just to comment back to the beginning of what you were saying, Mr. In the Woods. We utilized a lot of the information that the tribe already had, so the voters list was a big one that we used, and we found that there were multiple members that were registered to vote in 3 or 4 different districts. Some of them had changed their names, went to maiden name, got married, so their name was listed differently on each voting list. By the time the census is gonna be complete, we're gonna actually have an accurate breakdown of the districts. So this is something that the election board can look at and say, we're gonna use the census list because we've actually gone door to door to door, so they know who's in these districts. So if they say this is District 1, then this is District 1. Let's take this from the voters and put this as the new voters list, and then that's gonna have your accurate account of how many legal voters. So when it comes to people that are going from District 1 to District 4 to District 5, you can have your master list with Madam Secretary, and the superintendents for the districts can call back and say, well, what district are they, were they last known to vote in? And she can give that information, because that was something that I worked with the state voting poll, is we have the list for our precinct, and if there wasn't someone on our precinct, we can call up there to find out what district they were in, and if they want to register to vote here, then they can say, okay, well, we're gonna let you do the affidavit, and then Madam Secretary can take you off of District 1 and move you to District 4. So that way you don't have multiple people jumping from district to district to district, because our voting list right now, there's so many members that are on multiple voting lists because of that they've changed their name, they've moved multiple times. We're never taken off of this voting list and added to this one, or they were left on this one and added to this one and then added to this one. So once we're done with the census, we'll be able to have a solid list for the election board to actually look at and consider that for elections. So that's just a comment to Mr. In the Woods'.
Yes, Mr. Lewis, I mentioned earlier that I did submit a budget to the budget committee. I gave a copy to Mr. Treasurer, and I sent it to Ms. Haskell. And I just, budget committee already met, and about a couple of days after that, I submitted my budget. And I said to follow the process, they're gonna meet this month, and then those minutes will come to council in March for approval.
Good, Mr. Russo?
Chairman, I guess the whole purpose here is they need funding. I guess I missed that at the beginning. I was caught up listening to the data and all that. Can we just make a motion to approve her budget using the ARPA money? Because I don't know, it's probably not very much, is it? Less than 100,000?
120.
So just make a motion to approve it using ARPA funds and refer it to, I guess I don't know how that motion will go, but they're asking us for money is what they're doing. They came here to ask us for more money so they can get the census done, so we can move forward. And Madam Secretary has expressed more than once now that if we don't do it today, then it's gonna be March, which is a long ways away, and we're not gonna get anything done between now and then. So it just not clicked, sorry about that. So that's the motion they're asking for, is that we fund them. So I don't know how we wanna make the motion, who wants to make it, but, or how we're gonna do or how we're gonna pay it. But we got the treasurer here, maybe you've got some input on how we can move this action forward. But that's what I'd like to see, before they leave, let's make action to get it funded today. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Want to comment on that, Mr. Keckler?
No.
Okay. How about we let her finish, and then we can ask her more questions if you guys want.
Okay. On my first page, I put where a lot of people refused to do the census. Some of them refused, and on the census form, it says refused. Their name is on the census form, but it has refused on it. Then we have the houses, like I'll have a house number. If I do find out who lives in that home and I can't get there, I put their name on that census form and it says no contact. And everybody's name comes up somewhere, but I have to research all day long. Sometimes I'm researching because people move from one district to another and they show up somewhere, and when I go to a home, they say, well, they were here, but they left, and so then I gotta look for them to make sure that they're in a district where they're living. So census is a lot of work, and I don't know how you feel about and basically because they're mad at the tribe because they didn't get a range unit or support services or a job, anything they can use as an excuse, they won't do the census. So we probably won't get everybody counted, but I try to get them on a census form so at least you know that they're here. And that's the only way I can document them whenever, and I don't know how many are in the home. I just put the person that answered the door on the form and they refused. So there might be 6 people in there that we lost out of. We lost numbers right there. So when you see a census form, that's when it says refused, it's just the person at the door. It doesn't include anybody in the home, because there's a lot of people that do that.
Ms. Whitefather?
Thank you, Chairman. Council, I just want to mention that in Raven's report, current resident count by district, like District 1, we have 19 that are 18 years old. We have 234 that are 17 and under. District 6, we have 15 that are 18 years old on up, and then you have 206, 17 and under. You know, those are important numbers. We always talk about youth. You know, use those numbers to get stuff for these kids. Use that number to get them, you know, like swimming pool in each district. You know, you can buy those big old round swimming pool, you can go 16, 18, 20 feet, it can be rectangle, whatever, you know. Summer's coming, we don't have a swimming pool here. You know, you can get something for them out in the districts. But these are good numbers. You know, talk about elderly. District 3, you have 2 elderly that are 90 years old. District 1, you have 1. District 2, you have no one that's 90 and over. So these are good numbers to look at, and I'm gonna put this on our website and our Facebook page so that the people know that these are the numbers for the district. And, you know, another thing too, you know, this is the first time we're doing a census. To me, I feel it should be a law. Because it's required every 10 years that we do it. And if it's a law, guess what? Just like the US Census, we have to do it else. And the other thing is these range units, farm pastures that we give out. And like Ms. Thompson mentioned, the gates are locked. They should be allowed to go in there and get that information without being yelled at, without being threatened, get off my land. So something to think about, council. I wish we could do that. That way we can let the government know that we do have a census, we do it ourselves. We count our people on our reservation. So, if that's something that we can refer to legal to start, or to the land committee, and then the ordinances to include that, and then for the develop a tribal census ordinance. And I think that way we can get a true count of our people.
I think that motion to approve and convert.
Okay.
Because the fact is that also too, with some of the searches that we've done, we've had people coming and hassle us for searches for the last week. Law enforcement, search and rescue.
Yep.
So that should be also be included too, because they're asking us what we're doing there. And I'm like, isn't this tribal land? Yeah. So we're here doing the search.
Okay, we got a motion.
We go to houses and we have that. We don't just intrude, but, you know, but still get that opposition.
Okay, motion to approve and refer. Would you want to refer to?
To Matt.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Brinksma, second by Mr. Russo. Yes.
Well, you'll go to that first and then we'll go to that and discuss them. That's the vote again.
I guess it's a referral, so all in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Got 12 yes, motion carries. Second by Mr. Russo. Go ahead, Mr. Russo.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to, well, before I make the motion, how did we pay, when we did it last time, this, did it come from budget, then we approved the budget minutes? To give her that extension on your budget. So if I make a motion to approve her budget, does that be by resolution? That's my question. Pending resolution?
Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
Usually what I did was I submitted it to the budget committee, and then we would meet on it and approve of it, and then it would come to council. And do the maybe executive open, something like that, or review and then approve like that.
Right. We'll just, if we bypass it, we'll have to do it by resolution, so I'll make a motion to approve her budget by resolution, pending, and using ARPA money, pending the resolution. That's my motion.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Russo, second by Mr. Underwoods. Any comments on the action? Yes, sir?
Is this an allowable expense under the ARPA guidelines is my only question.
Funded last time.
If it funded it last time, it probably is. Just, I support it, I'm just making sure it's allowable.
Good question, I'm not sure. Can ask our attorney, Mr. Underwoods.
Yeah, Chairman, on this, a couple of those issues, you know, I don't know how you dealt with it, or you're gonna deal with it. You know, you do have the legal and police, you know, chief. Deal with those issues.
We probably need, if we're gonna use ARPA money, you probably need legals. Go ahead,
Approve, pending resolution.
pending legal.
Approve it, refer, yeah, pending legal. Motion amended.
Okay, motion's been amended, approved pending legal and resolution. Second's still there.
Chairman,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
if we go on record for a second. Madam Secretary.
Okay, we are gonna go off record. We'll turn the recording off. You want the KIP off here?